For thousands of years, the lands we now call Russia and Ukraine were home to wandering tribes and mysterious ancient peoples from the Bronze Age. The only thing they left behind was their graves. In the great open grassy plains of the south, the steppe, they buried their leaders under huge dirt mounds called kurgans. The ancient Greek writer Herodotus called these people Scythians. Their lands were taken over by the same wandering warriors who destroyed the Roman Empire. The land was then settled by a people called the Slavs. They shared a similar language and way of life, but were split into many different tribes. Vikings from Scandinavia, called Varangians in the east, rode up Russia's long rivers on bold raids and trading trips. According to legend, the East Slavs asked a Varangian leader named Rurik to be their prince and bring the tribes together. He said yes and set up his capital city at Novgorod. His family line, the Rurikids, would rule Russia for 700 years. His people called themselves the Rus, and that name became the name of the land. Rurik's follower, Oleg, captured Kiev, making it the capital of a new kingdom called Kievan Rus. 100 years later, wanting to build a stronger bond with the Byzantine Empire to the south, Vladimir the Great took on their faith and became an Orthodox Christian. He is still honored today as the man who brought Christianity to Ukraine and Russia. Yaroslav the Wise wrote down the laws and conquered new lands. His rule marked the golden age of Kievan Rus. It was one of the most advanced and powerful kingdoms in Europe. But after Yaroslav died, his sons fought against each other. Kievan Rus broke apart into many small, quarreling kingdoms, just as a deadly new danger appeared from the east. The Mongols, led by Genghis Khan, had taken over much of Asia. Now they launched a huge raid across the Caucasus Mountains and defeated the Kievan princes at the Battle of the Kalka River, but then pulled back. 14 years later, the Mongols came back. A massive army led by Batu Khan swept across the land. Cities that fought back were burned to the ground, and their people were killed. The city of Novgorod was saved because it gave in to the Mongols. Its prince, Alexander Nevsky, then saved the city again, defeating the Teutonic Knights at the Battle of the Ice, fought on a frozen lake. He is still one of Russia's most respected heroes. The Mongols ruled the land as its masters. Their new empire was called the Golden Horde, ruled by a Khan from his capital city at Sarai. The Rus princes served under him. They were forced to pay taxes or face terrible raids as punishment. They called their rulers Tsars. They lived under the Tatar yoke. Alexander Nevsky's son, Daniel, founded the Grand Principality of Moscow, which quickly became powerful. Under the great Uzbek Khan, the Tatars converted to Islam. A growing power, the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, defeated the Tatars at the Battle of Blue Waters and took control of Kiev. 18 years later, Dmitry Donskoy, Grand Prince of Moscow, also defeated the Tatars at the Great Battle of Kulikovo Field. After years of fighting among themselves, the Golden Horde now began to break apart into rival kingdoms called Khanates. Constantinople, the capital and last stronghold of the once great Byzantine Empire, was captured by the Turkish Ottoman Empire. Some people called Moscow the Third Rome, the home of the Orthodox Christian faith, now that Rome and Constantinople had fallen. Meanwhile, the Grand Princes of Moscow kept growing their power, taking over Novgorod and building the first Russian state. At the Ugra River, Ivan III of Moscow stood up to the Tatar army and forced it to turn back. Russia had finally broken free from the Tatar yoke. Under Grand Prince Vasily III, Moscow kept growing in size and power. His son, Ivan IV, was crowned the first Tsar of Russia. He would be remembered as Ivan the Terrible. Ivan conquered Tatar lands in Kazan and Astrakhan, but was defeated in the Livonian War by Sweden and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Ivan's modern reforms were replaced by a rule of terror and mass killings, driven by his extreme fear and distrust of everyone around him. Russia was still in danger. Raiders from the Crimean Khanate managed to burn down Moscow itself. But the next year, Russian forces crushed the Tatars at Molody, just south of the city. Cossacks now lived on the open steppe, a wild and lawless region between three warring kingdoms. They were skilled horse riders who lived freely and were often hired by Russia and Poland to fight as soldiers for pay. Ivan the Terrible's own son, The Tsarevich was killed during one of his father's violent fits of rage, beaten to death with the royal staff. The Cossack explorer Yermak Timofeyevich led Russia's conquest of Siberia, defeating Tatars and taking control of the native tribes. In the north, Arkhangelsk was founded, for the time being Russia's only seaport connecting it to Western Europe, though it was frozen over in winter. Ivan the Terrible was followed by his son Fyodor I, who died without any children. It was the end of the Rurikid family line. Ivan's advisor Boris Godunov became the new Tsar. But after his sudden death, his widow and teenage son were brutally killed, and the throne was taken by a fake, claiming to be Ivan the Terrible's son. He too was soon killed. Russia fell into chaos, the so-called time of troubles. Rebels and foreign armies destroyed the land, and the people were wiped out by hunger and disease. Polish troops took over Moscow. Swedish troops seized Novgorod. Russia seemed to be on the edge of total collapse. If you liked this video, why not visit our Patreon page to find out how you can help us make more great history videos?